Alright everyone, welcome back to another Metroplex Bass Addicts video. This is actually going to be video number 4 of our 6-part series on how to be better at tournament fishing, how to make more money tournament fishing. And this video is over electronics in fishing, and specifically the electronics we use on our boats and the electronics we feel that you need to have in order to have success tournament fishing. So let's get into it. Right there you go.
What? Why? I think I like it.
Alright guys, so we are currently practicing for a tournament here on Possum Kingdom, and just kind of wanted to go over our front of the boat setup and what we use on a day-to-day basis in here. And this is going to be a little bit updated from what we used to have, and honestly what you need. I just had some extra money at the time, so I decided to upgrade it a little bit. But first and foremost, we have any kind of spot lock trolling motor. This is probably going to be the biggest difference maker in your fishing ability in tournaments. Beforehand, when we were fishing high school tournaments, we were using Tristan's old bay boat, and it had just like a normal, what, 70, 80 pound thrust trolling motor, something like that. And we could not stay and fish in the wind worth anything. So getting this, once I got this boat, was probably the biggest improvement to our fishing skill. After that, we got graphs. So up here, we have a 10-inch Garmin, as well as a 9-inch that we use for mapping, as well as a second Livescope unit. Really, you don't even need to go this far. As long as you have some kind of graph up front that can do traditional side scan as well as clear view, or whatever the company's graphs that you're using, you should be okay. Along with that, also, we would highly recommend Livescope. So as you saw there, I have one transducer on forward. This one is set up as a perspective mode, and that's kind of the upgrades that I was talking about. We got 2 transducers at the front of the boat. Now this is not necessarily necessary. We fish for like 2-3 years on just one graph, and it was a 7-inch unit, and that had all the capabilities of Livescope that we really needed at that point in time. And primarily what we used it for is perspective mode. So Livescope had just came out. We didn't really know how to use it, didn't really have the time to learn how to use it. We were fishing a bunch of tournaments back then, and so we just kind of used it for perspective mode. Tristan's going to overlay some B-roll right now of what the perspective mode looks like on a really rocky point that we had found on the lake today. Didn't unfortunately catch any fish out there, but still a good kind of image of what we use it for. So what we were really doing was just looking for targets on this guy. That was probably one of the biggest difference makers in regards to Livescope, is just being able to locate targets on perspective mode and just make repeated accurate casts to those. So really, you just need one Livescope unit. As you see, I have my old LVS 32 as well as a brand new 34 on there. If all you can afford is a 32, just get a 32. Just some kind of Livescope on your boat helps out tremendously. And then coming back here, we have the graph at our console. So when I first got this boat, it had some older graphs. I had a 7-inch back here, as well as one up front that I had pulled from the John boat that I previously had before this boat. And that's really all we had at that point in time. It had like your traditional mapping, side scan, down scan, traditional view for views. So it kind of did everything that these newer, bigger graphs do, just a little bit worse, but still was plenty enough for us to be able to see what we needed to see back there.
Alright guys, so real quick, that last clip that you just saw was kind of just a clip that we took while we were idling over that rocky point that Ian was talking about earlier in the video, to kind of show you how we use our down scan, clear view, our side scan, and our map in conjunction together kind of all working as one unit to kind of figure out, good areas of the lake and find fish, especially offshore. So that's kind of what that last little clip was showing there. It's just us idling over that point, kind of showing you, the contour lines with the depth shading on the map, and then what the actual rock bottom on the point looked like, both on the clear view down scan and on the side scan. So we use all these tools together. We find our fish and our spots with that map first and foremost, and not just on our graphs, right? A lot of it is done before you even get to the lake when we do a map study using Google Earth and the Navionics app that shows the contours. That's how we find a lot of our spots, and we do have a video on that in this same series. I believe that was the 3rd video, so go back and watch that if you haven't, so you can kind of see how we do our research and our homework before we even get to a body of water. But we use all that technology and that mapping, study the lake, identify spots that we think are going to be good based on the time of year and what the weather's going to be like, the seasonal pattern, just kind of understanding how bass move throughout the year, and what seasonal pattern we think they should be in, what they should be doing, and kind of just understanding bass behavior. Identify a few areas that we think they should be at based on that, and then we go look for them. We get on the lake, use the map to go to those areas, and then scan over them with the down scan, the side scan, the clear view, and then the Livescope while we're fishing. So it's kind of just the broad picture. You have to be able to use all of those tools together and make them work kind of as one cohesive unit if you really want to get the most out of your fishing trips, especially in the summer or the winter, or anytime that the bass are offshore in your lake or river or wherever you're fishing. So I did real quick want to talk about my setup on my boat as well. I don't have any video of it, but on my Blazer, I only have 2 graphs. I have a 12-inch Garmin at the front on a TH Marine KVD Kong wave tamer mount, and then at the back I just have a standard ram mount with a 10-inch Garmin as well. So on the front, on the 12-inch, I run one Livescope transducer. It's the LVS 34, the Livescope Plus transducer. I do have the capability to switch it into perspective mode and forward mode, so that's big, but I typically keep it in forward mode most of the time, especially in the summer and winter when I'm fishing in deeper water. When I go up in shallow water, especially if the bass are spawning and I'm looking for beds, I'll switch it to that perspective mode. So you just kind of have to experiment and figure out which mode of Livescope you like to use in which situation, and with what kind of cover. But generally speaking, when the fish are out deeper, I keep it in that forward view, and when they're up shallower, I'll switch it to that perspective mode, especially if I'm trying to find beds. Like if the water's too murky and I can't see them with my eyes, that perspective mode will show me. It's basically like Humminbird Mega 360 but live. So very awesome tool, very underrated tool. A lot of the Livescope talk nowadays is about the forward mode, which is obviously an awesome tool as well, but the perspective mode doesn't get talked about enough, so definitely invest in that if you have the opportunity. But everyone's different. What works for Ian and I electronically on our rigs may not work for you. Maybe you don't like Livescope, that's totally fine. We still catch probably 75 to 80% of our fish without utilizing Livescope in any way. So there's still plenty of fish to be caught doing it. It just depends on what you like, what your fishing style is, and what you feel confident and comfortable doing. But obviously versatility is a big thing in bass fishing tournaments, especially the further up you go into the pro ranks and stuff like that. The more versatile you are, the better off you're going to be, especially in the long run. So we would encourage you to definitely, learn your electronics, learn how to use them, but also learn how to fish without them. That way you're as versatile as you can be, and you're never in a situation that makes you uncomfortable. That's something that we've spent a lot of time over the last 4 or 5 years doing, is just finding out how to catch fish in all different types of scenarios with and without the electronics, to try and be as versatile as we can. And it definitely translates. There's hardly any situations nowadays that make us genuinely uncomfortable in the water. We typically always seem to find a way to make something work. So that's kind of the deal on the electronics. But like we said, it's completely up to you. This is just what we use and what we believe helps us be successful in tournaments. Like Ian said, you don't need 2 Livescopes like he has. I only have 1. It's just a convenience factor at that point. But just spend some time on your rig if you have the time and the money. Go out. If you get these tools, go out, take the time to learn them. It takes a while. It's taken us years to really get comfortable with it. But once you learn how to use each of these tools effectively and learn when to use them and when not to rely on them, you'll become a much better tournament angler. Or if you're not fishing tournaments, you'll just become a much better fisherman. So that's our gist on electronics. Thank you for watching the 4th video in our 6-part series on how to make more money tournament fishing. The next 2 videos will air soon, and then the series will be complete. The last 2 videos will be how we approach tournament practice and how we approach a tournament. So definitely stay tuned for those. And then other than that, we are going to be fishing a tournament on the brand new lake, Lake Bodark, on July 7th. As long as it doesn't get canceled or something comes up, we plan on fishing that, and hopefully we will have a video from that. To my knowledge, it's the first tournament that's happening on the lake. So super excited about that. Again, we thank y'all for watching. See you on the next one. Thanks.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine, yeah I ain't taking orders in command.